Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. and Miss Taurus. Let's see what our past life wants us to rediscover for August 24th to August 30th. Last week, we have tapped into our pharaoh side of ourselves, and I can tell you, it has been a roller coaster. Emotional roller coaster. Loving me is nothing healthy. I had to take all the unhealthiness out of me. And rather than dismiss it or, tuck it under the rug somewhere or hide it, I said, you know what, let me look at it and see how those unhealthiness of myself can become the jewels of wisdom that I can use as a pharaoh. So I feel that you have done the same, Mr. and Miss Taurus. So let's see what our past life wants us to rediscover for August 24th. God, Gaia, God, Goddess, Mother, Father. What does Taurus past life want us to rediscover? What does Taurus past life want us to rediscover for August 24th to August 30th? What does Taurus past life wants them to rediscover? Woo! Okay, I'm going to let those three come out. They want to come out. What actions will Taurus be taking for August 24th to August 30th? What actions will Taurus be taking from August 24th to August 30th, 2018? What actions will Taurus be taking? Get this right. Okay. So, Mr. and Miss Taurus, our past life want us to rediscover that we have phobias. Makes sense. I felt that when I still had to take out the unhealthy part of myself, or what I think is unhealthy. Biblical. Makes sense. Phobias is always phobias is not always connected to biblical, but we tie them into biblical a lot because our first exposure besides horror movies or scary stories at night was learning through religion and through religion what is right and what is wrong, and universal truths and transportation. So we're heading somewhere, but first, before we go towards that direction that we really want to go to, we have to address the phobias within us and our biblical side of self. Aries had this when it came to authority figure. Whenever you get a chance, Mr. and Miss Taurus, check out Aries weekly to give us a better understanding of how we could address our phobias and see it as precious prizes or precious principles that we can use in the now rather than be biased of them. Mr. and Miss Taurus, biblically, you have always been loyal, dedicated, and humble. So much so that when it came to your personal wants, your personal needs, and your personal desires, it became a conflict. When in truth, it's not supposed to. But how do we find that out when we were taught in a manner? Every human being has been taught a religious principle to help govern our lives. If we didn't have religious principles or religious practices or religious teachings or religious readings, we would not understand the importance of good and bad, right and wrong, night and day, creation, abomination. We wouldn't have known about enlightenment and suffering and redemption and repentance, forgiveness, having our soul to be risen even when we feel dead inside. These are things that we have learned through religion to help us navigate in this world. Mr. Mrs Taurus, what is your phobias? My phobia, I can admit, is falling in love. One of my phobias, I told you last time, one of my phobias was also tarot reading. Because biblically, when it comes to divinations or readers, they would shun them. But at the same time, they wouldn't. So when reading it, I felt it had to be the character of that individual that made it not okay, or the time period in which the reader was present was not in the best time, because reading would take a person to be in tune with their spiritual side of self, which means they would have to be in tune with the mother principle, with the water within the womb. Our first intuition came from our mother's womb. Every vibration we heard her speak told us when she was happy, when she was sad, when she was concerned, when she was nervous. Even when she read or listened to things that were biblical and spiritual, we can feel it in the mother's womb, how she felt about it. Did it help her? Most likely it did. Did she have to use it to confront herself and how to make herself a better human being before we were made? Maybe. So again, my phobia was falling in love. Main reason why I was biased AS sometimes when it came to love and relationships is because, like this woman, I pray for that person's happiness before my own. I pray for their safety before my own. I pray that they find love unconditionally before my own, even when they're with me. At times, I've always felt that I'm this orb of a being. Like, the relationships that I had, I've noticed I have taught people, and they have taught me how to be my best self. But obviously, it has never or has not stayed long enough to become a permanent partnership. So my phobia still is being in love with a person. Like, would I get that love back? Would I get it as equal as I give to others? Would they pray for me like I pray for them? Would they watch over me like I watch over them? Would they spiritually protect me like I spiritually would protect them always? Even the men in my life that I'm not with as partners anymore, or as boyfriend, like they're not my male partners anymore, I still pray for them. I still want them to be happy. I still want them to be in love and to find someone that truly makes them happy. Do I feel that I can be? That is my phobia, no. And now it's time to look at it a little closely and wonder why. I know one of the main reasons why is because when it comes to intuition and spirituality, that has been a part of my life since I was 3 years old. I've always been the other, meaning, yes, I'm myself, but I always was concerned about others before myself. So in a way, I lived my life through other people's reactions, influences, spirituality, and religions. Yes, I had myself to see if it resonated with me. But a lot of times I felt like the outsider looking in. Even with relationships, I always felt like the outsider looking in. I don't know, maybe because of my mom passing, I had to really look at relationships a little different. Or I don't even believe it's my mom passing. I felt that it had to do with me, like watching my mom and watching elders have relationships. Because before you have a relationship, you got to look at others' relationships. Looking at my mother's and others were healthy, but at times it wasn't healthy for my age. I interpret it differently. Sometimes I interpret it very logically and strongly. But now it's asking me to understand why I've done that and how it has influenced the biblical side of myself. So if I had to give Mr. Mrs Taurus the example of how we have to address our phobias, my phobia is falling in love. The biblical way I could express that concernment is being Mother Mary or Mary, Mother of Jesus, or Mary Magdalene, the disciple of Jesus. Because I had to watch in my past life Jesus be crucified, if I had to do a connection to that, and how that has made me feel like, wow, I love this person and this person had to die based on their beliefs. Even as Mother Mary having a husband, a beautiful husband, Joseph, but I was, if I had to retell the story, being of child before marrying him would have caused me to be stoned. You know, as a woman, we're not supposed, in that time period, we're not supposed to procreate without marriage. We weren't supposed to have entitlement without a male figure. So even if we were by ourselves, we would be considered like a Jezebel or a witch or someone that is not of the community. And to have Joseph love me for who I was in that past and marry me to have or to represent the child in the most healthy way, who would have known that this child would be the child of God? Yes, Mary knew. Yes, Joseph knew. But if we had to retell the story in our lives, Mr. Mrs Taurus, this child became the king of all kings. So if we have phobias, just like we had connections to ancient Egypt, it could have been good and bad experiences, which tie into biblical, because at the same time, this was connected in Egypt. This was connected in the regions of Egypt. You had Sumer, Macedonia, Phoenician, Egypt, India, China. All these areas at the time were influenced by biblical leaders. And our phobias could be tied to that. We too, like Aries, are biblical, or we are about to embark on becoming authority figures in our life purpose. Wow. Whoa. That would explain why we have to look at our phobias as not as a curse, not as bias anymore, but as a blessing, as a rite of passage, because it's connecting to our biblical side of self. When we address our phobias and love them rather than shun them, and see how it does connect to biblical leaders, disciples, messengers, prophets. And it doesn't have to be in Christianity. It could be in Quran. Like I was explaining to Aries, Allah in Quran is no different than Alpha in Christianity when it talks about God. When we do that, we can travel towards our life purpose, travel towards our partner that we will want, travel towards the career path that we want, because we will be at ease. The action we will be taking before we transport. Star. 1 + 7, 8. Scorpio's not far behind. That is our opposite sign, Mr. Mrs Taurus. Unlock that Scorpio side of yourself. The Pharaoh is still here. The Pharaoh has actually helped us to understand that we have phobias that we need to address, because the phobias are the very things that are precious and that is very biblical. and spiritual at the same time, which a lot of people in this time period need. When we unlock that star quality in ourselves, we will start to see happy times. We will start to make more positive and optimistic long-term plans, and we are going to stay on the right path. And the way we do that is bringing it out through our passions. We will become the king and queen of fire. We will become more motivated once we know where our phobias are coming from, and that it is truly tied to biblical texts, whether it be the Quran, Kabbalah, Christianity, Buddhism, Confucian, any religion that resonates with you, Mr. Miss Taurus, always have biblical authority figures. Which one do you resonate with, Mr. Miss Tauruses? That will show you the storyline of how those could become phobias in the present. Because this we have already experienced in our past, but it's because it's in our DNA, it's resurfacing every time we meet people, places, and things that remind us of where we're trying to go in our lives. We will become more motivated, idealistic, ambitious, and charismatic. Yes. Look, we standing on the dragon. We ain't sitting, we standing. Well, yeah, we standing, we ready. And we got the spirit, the direction we want to go in. Focus, focus, focus. Communicate with vision, which makes the sense of the biblical. And be a leader. Again, biblical authority figure in Aries. Please check out Aries. Mr. Miss Taurus, please check out Aries. Advice from someone. Let me get this right. Advice from someone creative. This is a fire sign. So talk to Aries, Sagittarius, and definitely Leos right now in regards to, oh, well, you got 6 people to really talk to. You got 3. You got Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo for the passion and for the intuition and for guidance in your phobias and how it affects the biblical side of yourself. Definitely talk to Scorpios, Pisces, and Cancers. Scorpio is your opposite sign, Taurus. So Scorpio, Pisces, and Cancers, you would definitely want to talk to first. And then to take it on home, definitely talk to an Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. Okay? Until we meet again, I love you. I love you, Tauruses. We will see you on the other side.